Good morning, people. Could you please let me know if you can see me well, you can hear me well in the comments, maybe under the last post? I want to make sure that there are no technical issues or anything. What happens if we do that? Connection problems, I think it seems like. Let's see if it gets any better. Can anybody let me know? Am I visible, clear, audible, or am I breaking? The video is blurry or something like that. Please let me know if that's the case. What if everything is clear? Ooh, that's not good. Interesting. So, okay, somebody says clearly visible. Thank you so much. Well, all right. Let's hope that connection doesn't break or anything. And we'll start then, people. Okay. So thank you for anybody who is here today. I hope this will be a productive session, helpful session, because we're talking about something very important. Essay planning, idea generation, and idea development. And with this, I hope that we'll achieve, or you will learn how to do better in task response and cohesion and coherence. And reaching a band 9 is possible in these two areas, okay? Spoiler alert. So if you're thinking that you've never gotten the score before, and if you have vocab grammar issues, do not think that, well, there's no hope for you unless you improve your vocabulary grammar. Task response and cohesion and coherence are not connected so much to your vocabulary grammar. There's some connection, of course, but not as much. So these two sections of the writing criteria, right, could be better. I'll tell you this right away from the beginning. I want you to have a very good understanding and clear understanding of what I'm talking about. So if examiners are looking for 4 things when they're checking your essay, task 2, for example, now your grammar vocab could be, I don't know, let's say 6, right? Grammar could also be 6, but your cohesion and coherence with the basics that you know could be 7 plus, could be 8 plus, depending on how sharp your thinking skills are. Your task response could be 7 plus. I have had students who scored 7 in writing, although the grammar vocab was like really 5.5. They just learned how to think, and and when they received their score breakdown, their task response was an 8. Their cohesion was 7, I think. But grammar was like 5, grammar was 5 or something like that. I don't remember really exactly right now, but yeah. So this is real. It could happen. It could be even better than this, okay? So if you so far get that part, let's move on to the next. Okay, so the class today is divided into several parts, actually. And we're going to start with the first part, people. What I want you to do now is think about the writing, like how you normally write, I know many people, or some people, that think that planning is a waste of time. They would rather write. And I know I've been there myself, and I speak that from experience. Back in the days when I was preparing for IELTS or TOEFL, I used to think that planning was a complete waste of time. Thought that's not for me. I can actually write more. So that's why I'm going to give you guys a task right now, okay? But you have to be active. You need to participate. That way it will be more fun and even more useful. Okay, so let's experience right now writing without planning, just how it feels. I just want you to know, Let's see, here's a essay question. Many customs and traditional ways of behavior are not relevant to modern life. Thus, there is no point in keeping them. To what extent do you agree, disagree? And your task is not to plan. You just start writing whatever you can for 5 minutes. And I want you to write whatever you can, however many sentences you can, okay? Just don't sweat it, just whatever. In the comment section right now. Can you guys do that in one of the last comments? Yeah, like we're going live in 54 minutes under that post. Can you please write whatever you can in just 5 minutes? No plan, no whatever. And if you don't understand the question fully, just keep writing. Doesn't matter, you know? That's the task. Okay. I will also try to write. Okay, let's give ourselves 5 minutes. And we're good to go. Okay, I'm going to start. I'll start with something like, okay. Or I could write it actually on my screen. That way you'll see what I'm doing, how I'm enjoying it or struggling with it. Who knows? Okay, so that's the question. And our job is to write whatever you can in 5 minutes. So we are starting at, what's the time? 10:12. Let's see how long it will take us. Just fish. Okay, I'm going to start with I have no idea what I'm writing. I'm just writing whatever comes to mind. One of society. Well, people think that such values should be maintained. No, I misspelled the word. Maintained. Others argue that they are no longer relevant to our modern life, and therefore should be forgotten. I think, now I need to answer the question, so I have no idea what I'm thinking. Let's see. I think that whichever is easy. I think that traditional values are important and should be kept. Okay, what's the time? Oh, I have 1 minute left. Okay, how do I start the paragraph? Okay, I need to explain why traditional values are important, but why they're important. Why are they important? They are safe. Okay, maybe they're safe. Maybe one reason why, what's time? Oh, I still have time. Okay, one reason why traditions and customs are crucial is that they are safe. I have no idea what that means. What am I saying by safe? The one reason why traditions and customs are crucial is that they're safe. Wow, my mind is all complete blank right now. I have no idea what I mean. Safe. Oh, because they helped us to survive and we're still there. Okay, I guess, because of those values, we as a society, whatever, as a society, have survived until now. I have to continue, but I think it's time. So, okay, people, now we gotta, oh wait, we have actually 2 more minutes. Okay, we should write until 10:17. Oh, okay, let's continue. We have 2 more minutes left, people. Because of those values, we as a society have survived now. So seems valid to keep those traditions. Example, tradition. Oh, forming a family. For example, forming a family or small group to live together and support each other. 1 minute left. 1 minute left. Small group to together support each other with what? With food or shelter. Sure. Okay, time is up, people. That is it. So you can see my work, and let me writing in 5 minutes without any prior planning or thinking. That's a good title for this one. This is a disaster, actually. It should never be like that, but well, as you can see, you saw what just happened. So yeah. So now, please, you guys share your work. And thumbs up. I know you were writing, some of you people, so just share your work, whatever you got. Don't, don't be too critical. Is it possible to actually be in the, and then you can type, right, on Telegram? It's possible. You can follow the lesson and type and then write. Listening, voice great, everything's perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, we have several people's writings. Again, no planning whatsoever, right? Okay, I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to submit your work. Please do. Like whatever you wrote, just share. Don't think. I see some people are still writing. It would be really nice if you just shared your work right away so we can move on, people, okay? It's okay, because if you're taking more time than this, then you're not following the instructions. And it's not going to have the same effect. After you have done writing now, I will read your work and comment on some of them later. Speaking too fast. Okay, I will try to slow down. Thank you so much. I kind of tend to do that. Should remember not to speak too fast. There you go. All right, so we have some people submitting already. Nice. Okay, so now let's move on to the next part, please. I want you to reflect on your experience right now. How did it feel to write without planning or thinking? Yeah? Was it easy or was it stressful? Did you lose track? Did your sentences connect well? I don't know. Did you have, what were you feeling while writing? Please let me know. I'll tell you how I felt afterwards. Reflection, very important thing to do. Let's do that a little bit. Without planning. I know, it is confusing, isn't it? Exactly. Bro did the same in his recent exam. Thought the question was too easy, at least it felt like that, and now I was wondering if I was going on the right path. Honestly, I heard the topic only once. Yeah, classic, Abror, classic. Nafisa says couldn't find ideas. Right, exactly. Tell me about it. That's the case. I didn't know what to write. Felt stressed. Couldn't organize my writing. Totally. Same people. Same. Seriously. So yeah, please others keep sharing, okay? But I'd like to keep it going. But some media tests I've been keeping an eye on my concrete jungle. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I understand. At least like practice speaking it, if possible. Like maybe your baby, if he or she is awake, maybe can experience language from an early age. Okay, so I'll tell you how I felt. How I felt confused. I had no idea what I'm doing, like I have no clear structure. As if like calling a cab or getting into a car, starting the car, and telling the driver to go without knowing where to go. I'm like, just drive, let's just go. Where we're going. I'm like, all figured out. So obviously a driver keeps going and going without any clear direction. And that's how I really felt. It's not easy. If it seemed easy, because it could be simply because I'm just typing some words, I know the words. And this part felt a little bit easy for me though, because I felt like I'm just writing an introduction here, although I wasn't sure if I was going to write an introduction or a body paragraph. Introduction is quite straightforward, and I have been writing for a long time, maybe, practicing IELTS and thinking like that and starting speech. So maybe that's why it felt easy, this part, and it's probably relevant on topic, but this part, supposed to be a body paragraph. Now this one, I had no idea what I was writing. And if you notice, I slowed down here. I was struggling to come up with something. I didn't know even what to say. I was like thinking one sentence at a time. If we go back to that analogy with the driver, I was saying something like, drive until that corner. And we drove to that, and then what's next? And I'm like, well, let's try until that traffic light. Let's just keep going. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Do you see like how we would be going, how the driver would be feeling? Probably. It's very, very confusing. And that's how I felt, honestly, while I was writing this. It was like that. Okay. And my ideas are not even connected, honestly, because I have no idea what I'm saying. I'm just going with whatever comes along. Yeah. So it was definitely stressful, confusing. My sentences ideas are not connected for sure. So I would say it's a very good sort of a disaster for sure. And the funny thing is that this is how I used to do myself. Back in the days when I was preparing for SAT or TOEFL, like I came to IELTS later after already having practice experiences. It was years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And at that time, all the TOEFL books, the SAT books, would talk about the importance of planning. And I didn't have a teacher while I was preparing at the time, honestly. So maybe that's why I just ignored them. All these books that told me about planning, why I should plan. I was like, are you crazy? Do you know how much I can write if I don't plan? So yeah, and that's why I could actually never finish my essay. First of all, the problems were never finished my essays. Felt absolutely confused, like nervous, really. I think that's what it is, like, or stressed. Felt stressed because I had no idea what I was doing. Anxious about time. And I would be like, oh, I need more time. In SAT or TOEFL writing, we were usually given like 30 minutes to write, or it was like that before. And I would be like, I need 1 more hour at least. Because normally when I didn't give myself time restrictions, I would spend 1 hour to complete an essay. It has intro, body, paragraphs, and conclusion. It would be like 1 hour, at least 1 hour, 10 minutes. Now, I'm not talking about the quality of that essay. Who knows? It was probably a disaster too, but at least the fact, knowing that I finished my essay, that would need, like, I would take at least 1 hour. And whenever I did this, without writing, without planning or anything, I could never finish it. And I thought the problem was time management. Familiar, people? How many of you suffer from time management issues in the writing? And that's why I believe, having experienced that myself, I believe it is not a time matter. Like, it's not a matter of time. It's not about time management. The time that is given to us during the exams, it's considered, like, it's decided by language experts, exam creators. They know that this time is actually enough if you do the task properly. When you don't do it properly, even 1 hour is not enough, really. Yeah. Oh, the worst part. Okay, not finishing, stressing, blah, blah. Yeah, that is true. But also, I never knew what I was doing, what I was doing. What I would do is I would focus on vocab, obviously. I would look at the questions, essay questions, and I would see the words in the questions, and I'll be like, ooh, what is the exam? Like, what kind of fancy words I know that I've just learned that I could use in my writing? Especially I did that with SAT, because old SAT had the vocabulary section that was testing the craziest words ever. Like, nobody ever used them. But for some reason, they were testing the students, test takers. And I thought, well, if they're testing me on these words in the reading section, they would be probably impressed with me if I gave them the same vocabulary. And that's what I did. And I would write like that. And I would ask a couple of my friends to read my work, and they would be impressed. They would be like, wow, this essay is amazing. Why do you think it's good? Oh, their words, wow. They had no idea what they were reading. They were impressed. And that was giving me the false impression that my writing was good. But then I finally had a mentor, my teacher, really. And after he had get a look at my writings, 1 or 2, I believe, he was like, I'm sorry, Sandra, this is a disaster. I do not understand. And I was like, what? You don't know what you're saying. Mind you, he was actually, I asked several native speakers, okay? They were Americans, educated Americans with great SAT scores, TOEFL scores, one of them actually. So I asked people who really knew. And when they told me at first that my writing did not make any sense, my reaction was frustration. My reaction was like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. My friends, the people I asked before who praised my work without knowing what they were reading, I was under that delusion. And after I kept hearing that my writings don't make any sense, the words that I use don't make any sense, I decided to, take a hard look. And I actually did take the SAT with my old approach. I'm going to write it like I know, and let's see what happens. And guess what happened? I actually scored 3. The highest score was 6. So I got half of the score. Now, I did probably finish my essay in my SAT exam, but it was probably a disaster. And that was the final straw. I learned my lesson. And then I decided to take a couple of additional sessions with my mentors, with my teacher. And then I learned how to do it properly. Then I started planning. I started focusing on the right things, not on fancy vocab or any vocab for that matter, honestly, and grammar. Oh my God. I had no idea what I was even reading, the essay question. I'll just focus on words. That's what I was doing. And all of that was wrong things, really, really wrong things. So now what I do is after that, I learned how to properly plan, and I realized that it actually saves time. It helps me to stay on topic and makes my writing faster and better. It's so much better. So I'm going to talk about that. Okay. So I felt the need to tell you the importance of it because I know that there are people out there who might be thinking in the same way that I was, and I want to prevent such experiences or help people realize that, as and you will experience it. You will see for yourself, because I'm not just here to tell you. I want you to experience it. So that's why you experience this one without any planning, and we'll see how that goes after, like towards the middle of the class. Let's see how it goes. So how to plan. First step really is, people, reading and simplifying the question. Now, that is something that I did not do before. If the question is like, some questions are phrased in a tricky way, not necessarily tricky, but there is some complexity there, the vocab or some concepts like all those or not or something that if we miss, we might misunderstand the question entirely. Actually, this is what happened in one of my essays that I shared on the channel, if you remember, right? It was about some schools, and I did not notice the second half of the question. I mean, I read it, and I read that question only one time, but I had no idea. And I planned, I can even show you how I planned. I planned it and I wrote the essay, and the next day I realized that it was off topic because I didn't answer the second half of the question at all. And that's how that writing was a fiasco. And why that happened? Because I always reflect on my experiences. So when I reflected, I realized that I did not simplify the question. I just read it and I thought, easy, I get it right away. That's it. And I just kept doing everything else that I do. You see, I skipped one important step of simplifying the question, and boom, that's how I failed. So what I mean by simplify it, when you read the question, you want to say it in different words, but in simple, easy ways. Okay? As if you're explaining that question to your brother, sister, your best friend, somebody you care about, and you are the teacher. And when I say it like that, I want to highlight that when you simplify, the goal is not to paraphrase it. The goal is not to show off vocabulary as you simplify it. Simplify means make it simple and easy to understand for somebody else. So do that. And when you do it from several different angles, actually you realize if you get the same idea, if you paraphrase, simplify it like that and like this, and you get the same idea, that means you really got it. But if you simplify one way, you get one idea. And when you try it this way, you get a different idea. That means maybe you didn't quite get it. Maybe you're missing something. Go back. After you got it, you can simply say it. Then we move on to the next step. That is called two-column method. I usually just divide the paper into two columns. Like if you can see, I can show you in one of my plans, or I'll show you. Actually, it's coming. We'll do it together. So I divide a piece of paper into the columns, and I start writing down some ideas and developing with brief notes, not sentences. I'm not writing sentences at all. I'm thinking in sentences. I'm thinking in complete thoughts, but when I write them down, I shorten them. That's what note-taking is, right? If you ever tried note-taking, you hear things that people are telling you. It could be a lecture or whatever, but you write down the shortest forms possible for yourself for later. And you want to be fast during that process, so we don't write sentences. Okay, now let's try the next activity where we write with a plan. Okay, and we're going to spend some time. At the beginning, if you're new to it, you might need more time to spend. That's okay. But if you keep doing that, you'll get faster and faster. Trust me. When I started planning, like I told you, for my SAT for the first time, oh my God, it was an amazing experience. When I planned it, finally, I gave in. I thought, okay, I'm going to plan like my teacher tells me to do. Fine, let's see what happens. I was resistant as well. Can you believe it? I was very young, So fine, I'll plan. And I planned, and I remember the feeling. I remember where I was while I was planning. I remember my notebook that I had, the look of my notebook, the appearance of it. I remember everything. It was a sublime experience. I was like, I started with, okay, fine, I'll plan. Let's see what happens, to, wow, that's what planning does. I loved it so much that I wanted to do it. I never wanted to stop after planning like that. So when I first planned, I spent about probably 10 to 12 minutes. But you know what? Even if I spent 15 minutes, let's say, okay, 12, probably not 15, 12 minutes, I finished my essay writing based on that plan in 10, 15 minutes. So in 25 minutes altogether, I was done with that essay, and I had 5 minutes to double, triple check my work. It was boom, life-altering paradigm shift is happening in my brain. It's like, whoa, I finally unlocked some new amazing skill. It was really like that. So I can't stress it enough. It's a beautiful experience. Anyways, let's see. How to plan properly. Maybe I'll show you how to plan, and then we'll reflect on it afterwards. Okay. Okay, people, let me know. First of all, question for you. Do you want to practice now planning together on the same topic, or would you like a different new question? The previous question or a new question? Let me know in the comments, please. I'd like to know your opinion. And based on that, we'll see what to do. New question or the same question? Okay, we have one person for the same question. Okay, let's hear this democracy. Let's hear the same thing. One person chooses new. Let's try another. Okay, fine. I agree with you. Okay, we can try a new one as well, okay, after. But let's try right now the same one, and I'll show you how I'm planning. That way you will see the difference. Exactly, I like that idea. Okay, so let's take that previous one, and this time plan it. And how do we plan it? Although, okay. All right, let's try the same for now. Now, I want to explain a couple of things first about how I'm thinking. I want to do it out loud so you can see what's happening at a Ben 9 level, at a high level, okay? Now, there's, right. So, because then when I show you later, when you see the final result, it will make more sense. So I want you to see what's happening at a production level. Let's put it that way. Okay. So first, what I'm doing, if I put myself under exam conditions, so first step for me is to make sure I simplify the question. So this is how I'm simplifying it. Many customs. Now, it's important that you know all the words, of course, because if you did not know some of the words, it might get a little tricky, and then anxiety kicks in, you start feeling, doubting yourself, questioning, like, what if I don't know this? The rest might be affected. But let's assume you know these words, right? And if you didn't, then at least maybe this part would help. So customs and traditional ways of behavior. Okay, this is something to highlight. What does that mean? Customs, like things that we do, right? And traditional ways of living, behaving, thinking, probably, like the typical ways for one culture, one area, one part of the world. And some people are saying that many of these are not relevant to modern life. Now, what is modern life? And relevant means not relevant, not connected, right? So these are kind of old traditional ways, okay? That's not how we live our modern life anymore. That is not how we behave or think. And that's what they're saying. And thus, therefore, there is no point in keeping them. So let's not keep these traditions. They are not relevant. They're not helping us. They are not applicable. And do you agree? Or to what extent do you agree? How far do you agree with my idea? You can fully agree, or you can fully disagree, or you can partly agree or partly disagree. So however you feel. Now, you see, I'm simplifying it. If I can say it in one sentence, should we forget about our old traditional behaviors, customs, or do we keep them? That's it. That's how I'm simplifying it for myself. Even on the exam conditions, I exactly do the same, but because I do this, right now I'm speaking and talking, it might seem like slow process, but in your head, in your thought process, like while you're thinking, this goes really fast once you train. So keep that in mind. Okay. Before I create ideas, I want to visualize the topic. I really want to imagine some concrete examples. When the topic is a bit tough, it's hard to come up with solid arguments, You might be like, I agree, why, I don't know. Or, I disagree. No, let's start with some customs. Like, what comes to mind? Give me examples of customs you guys know or traditional ways of behavior. Just generate visual images, examples of the topic. and share in the comments, please. What comes to mind? I'll also come up with something. I'll also write. Traditions, behavior. How do we behave? We say hi. We show respect. The goal is to be good. No, I mean, good, but maybe more like respecting. Oh, yeah. Clothing sounds good. Yeah, definitely. Because part of the clothing, the way we dress, the way we wear, the way we present ourselves could come from our traditional ways of behaving, right? Come from our customs. Celebrating events, also good. Totally, yes. Oh yeah, that's good. Very good idea. Excellent. We look after old people. Definitely, that is a custom and traditional behavior, forms of behavior, right? Nice. What else comes to mind? Having family is also kind of a traditional way of behaving, right? Like at certain age, you need to get married, they say, you need to have children, customs. Yeah, like marriage stuff. Oh, I had something, I forgot. I was thinking of something. I forgot. That's why, you don't just think, you write it down. When you write it down, you remember it. Traditional way of consuming unhealthy traditional meals. Oh, that's good too. Food. Yeah, definitely. It's a custom. Not talk. Oh, yes, you brought back. Thank you, Lisa. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Like when I was thinking about respect, but in a way that it hides our true opinions or views. We are told to respect and keep silence, when somebody like authority is talking to us or explaining, even if when they're wrong, okay? They could be absolutely wrong with their idea, but we're told not to speak up, especially if you're a particular gender, like if you're a woman, you're not supposed to argue with a man or whatever. So I don't know. So such ideas come to mind. There you go. Awesome, people. So we have some cool ideas there. Cool. So now you have more concrete ideas. And now the beauty of this visualization, coming up with examples, real life examples, mind you, by the way. Weddings. Oh, that's a big one. Exactly. 100%. So such ideas. Now, you have visualized it. Notice what we are focusing on right now. We are not thinking about vocabulary. We're not thinking about time. We're not thinking about the score. We are just engaging with the question. We want to just understand it. And to understand it, we are coming up with real examples. If you make up examples, you have to spend more energy and time, honestly, because creating something new, fake, fictitious, requires a lot more energy than going back to something you already know, linking to your past experiences, connecting with the topic. It's so much easier and fun. Don't you agree? And stress-free. Are you stressed in any way right now, people, while you're generating these ideas or examples? Are you relaxed, calm? You're like, your mind is busy and it's more fun. Do you agree? Please keep the comments all English, please. Not everybody understands. So I hope you're feeling much better. Compared to the previous one, I'm feeling so much better right now. I'm feeling so comfortable, excited. I can't wait to start writing, So yeah, that's a good feeling. Okay, we have simplified it. We really connected, visualized it. We understood. We have ideas now. Awesome. So next step is starting now. Arguments. Okay, we just thought of examples only, so if you want, you can write down the examples. You don't need to really, but we talked about weddings, like wasting money or resources like that. In some parts of the world that's true. Okay, what else we talked about? Respecting others. I'm gonna put it in quotation mark because, well, it could mean different things actually. Okay, let's say good respect, like elderly, for example, and caring for them. That's really good. Good respect and care of, let's say, elderly. These are really good ideas. But then we have other forms of respect, like bad or fake respect, quotation mark, where you're just silenced. You're not speaking up or respectfully. You're not even doing that. Respectfully, you could disagree, you could express your opinion, they're different, etc. So no. There were a couple of other example ideas, really. They were brilliant examples, but you got it so far, yeah? So lots of, traditions, custom clothing, etc. Ooh, clothing. Clothing, stuff like that. So then we now start creating argument. Like I said earlier, I divide the piece of paper into two. So now, even if the question asks just for my opinion, or if it asks for discuss both views and give your opinion, one brilliant thing that I have learned to do was looking at both sides no matter what. Notice how I'm not formulating my opinion. I'm not thinking about what I think. That's the last thing I'm going to think about, because I found this one thing. In the past, I would right away form an opinion. I'll be like, oh, I agree, or I disagree. And then I would actually struggle to come up with ideas. Like, say, I agree, but I can't come up with reasons. But if I disagreed, I have more arguments. So it happened a lot. So when I formulate an opinion, I'm already limiting my brain capacity to only think in one way, and I found that to be not that helpful. So what I do now instead is, don't worry about what you think. Just come up with ideas, like generate ideas. And wherever you have stronger idea, choose that side. Because let's face it, examiners don't really care about what you really think, what your real ideas are, and why you think that way. They just want to know, can you explain your ideas? Can you answer the question? And can you be on topic? Use the language you do know. And that's it, really. So after I realized that, it kind of took some pressure off. I don't have to be true to myself here. I can just write what feels right or easy right now, as long as it's relevant, as long as it's on topic. Okay, so that's why I leave my actual opinion for later at first. But if you don't have a problem, but if you didn't really have a problem, then you could easily do that afterwards as well. Or you might change your opinion later. So give yourself some space to explore ideas first and then decide, Yeah, let's do it like that. So I divide this column into yes and the other side to no. Now, I'm keeping it simple, short like that. But in my head, like I said earlier, we think in complete thoughts. So while writing our plan, we keep it short and simple. But in our thinking, we think, this is important, we think in complete thoughts. Incomplete thoughts is like sentences, maybe. Incomplete thought. This is important. Now, I'll tell you why this is important. Because if you don't do it like that way, many students later struggle with writing correct topic sentences. If I start with yes, you know what happens? When I'm writing, I'm like, okay, what do I say yes? Like, how do I say yes? Like, or I agree with the statement. Now, that's a very unclear sentence, honestly, especially when you are beginning your body paragraph. At the beginning of our speech, we need to say what the topic is. I can't just tell you I disagree with that idea. Like, which idea you disagree with? You see, it's not complete. So I might write like that, but in my head, I'm saying, yes, traditions are good. Traditions, I'm going to shorten it, is good, and we must keep them. And the no side is the opposite. No is like, no, maybe some customs and traditions are bad. Traditions bad, and we must forget them. Notice that I'm not choosing any side yet. I'm just looking at both sides. The next step would be to develop these. Okay? So, and one of the things I would like to tell you guys right now is the important mindset before we develop. Right now, we are just creating our initial argument. The next thing is to develop those ideas. Like, why do you say this? Or you or anybody would say that. Why anybody would choose this side? Why? How? Example? What do you mean? So, etc. But for now, this. Before we continue, here's the next big paradigm shift for you to take the pressure off, is to understand or look at planning, writing like a speaking task. honestly, it changed my life too. Now, speaking has always been easy for me. Writing has not always been easy. Maybe it's because I don't write a lot, or it's just something we don't naturally do as, as humans, right? We think a lot, we talk a lot. It's something, communication, interaction, we do it all the time. And for me, this has been kind of easy because I've been doing it for a very long time. I have been talking more, speaking more in my entire life than I have written. So it's important to me to have easy experience with the writing as well, but it wasn't that easy. So what I did back in the days, even in school or anything, whenever I had writing tasks, I wouldn't know what to do, how to begin, where to begin. Honestly, it was such an abstract activity, and I never got a proper instructions, honestly, before. So I didn't know what I was doing. Sometimes my essays would be so good. I remember my teachers praising me. Wow, your essay is great. Like whatever essays I used to write in school or college. And some would be terrible. And I never knew why, what's good, what's not good, how to write it. I didn't know that. But speaking was a lot easier for me. Not that somebody taught me. I think maybe it came naturally to me. But then I thought, wait a minute, what if I approach writing like I approach my speaking? Because my speaking is always great. Usually it's great. I have very clear structure. People have easy time understanding me. I have easy time speaking up, explaining myself. So why writing is that difficult for me? So I thought about it, and I realized a couple of things that I do in the speaking that I don't do in the writing. And I thought maybe I practice those things that I do in the speaking, take them with me, transform them into my writing. Maybe that'll be easier. And then that's when I realized, yes, in speaking, I am visualizing, I'm thinking, I'm structuring my thoughts. I start with a confirmation or like a topic sentence, and then I explain myself with examples and everything, because I know how to ask myself questions while I do the speaking. I'm kind of speaking and I know what to say next. I know how to develop it by using certain things. But I was not doing any of that in the writing. It was incredible pressure when I was writing. So that's what I started doing exactly what I do. So when I'm speaking, I am not worried about time, score, or anything. I'm not worried about vocabulary, like at all, really. Even right now, if you notice, if I sound natural, understandable, and coherent, like you can follow me, like that I'm not just like rambling. I have a purpose, and I want you to really understand me. That's my goal. I want to communicate my ideas to you. If I have that right now, it's because I am focusing on clear ideas and how to explain myself better, so that after you listen to me, you're like, oh, I understand. Oh, well, now I get it. I'm not interested in impressing you in any way. In the same way in the writing, when I'm writing, I have the right mindset. That is, I'm just going to communicate my ideas. My ideas do not have to be perfect. You don't have to agree with me, as long as I can state them clearly and explain myself. And I want to speak or write in a way that you will not have questions based on what I said. Because if you have questions, then I'm not doing a good job and I should explain myself more, right? So this is something that many people struggle with. They're just saying, no, I disagree with this idea. But why? I don't know why. You see, they decided what they think before knowing what they really think. So when you don't have ideas, I would like to recommend you like that. Start thinking about visuals, examples, connect with the question. Don't rush to answer it. That's what educated people actually do whenever they get tough questions. Politicians, educated people during interviews. If you watch such interviews, like podcasts, they're really popular, right? With a CAO, whatever. Like I listen to those a lot. I think maybe I've been listening to such podcasts in general, like for so long that I know what they do, how they do. And it seems like so natural to me. Maybe I've just observed them a lot. And that's why I know what happens and what to do. So the same thing you want to do with your writing. And luckily we have time, right? We're given time to think, structure our thoughts, and then we write. So we got to use that time wisely. Okay, so remove the wrong focuses like grammar, vocabulary, or impressing the examiner with brilliant ideas or interesting ideas, brand new ideas. No. Keep it simple. Like, what do you really think and why, how? And let's just ask ourselves questions like, why? We just said what? This is our answer question, to what? What do you want to say? Oh, yeah, I want to say that some tradition is good and we must keep them. Why? blah, blah, blah. We'll come up with that. How? Maybe give me an example. Now, feel free to change the order of these questions. We always want to start with what and why, but you can change these. Even like example could be right after what, really, and then you explain. So you can have a little bit of flexibility here. It's okay, you know. Even with in speaking, we do the same thing. For example, if the examiner asks, like, when was the last time you spent time with family? You can directly answer the question of, oh, it was 2 days ago. Oh, it was last Sunday. We did this and that. Why we met because of that. And what did we do? How did we do it like that? For example, blah, blah, blah. Or you can start with, I actually spent, you can still say what, and then you can give example and then why and how. Okay, if you continue. So feel free to change these. These are not fixed. Example, maybe like so, consequence, of facts. Like these are the questions that I know I can use to develop any idea, okay, that is given to me or that I need in the IELTS speaking or writing. Because IELTS is not giving you information tests. It's not testing your intelligence. So that's why you can feel that it's a lot easier. You know, it's not asking about science stuff or space stuff or economics or anything. There, I will need knowledge. And if I didn't have the information, I may not be able to speak. I don't know. Law, like specific, industries and, topics, like medicine. But IELTS is asking all the topics that give you all the essay questions, speaking questions. They're all based on experiences that we all might have experienced ourselves or might have seen, heard, etc. Like they're taken from kind of real life. People who struggle with idea development, they just forget that. They're focusing on other things, information or whatever, and they forget that, hey, it's all based on real life. Like just connect with real life. If you don't have personal experience, think about your movies, shows, social media posts that you've recently seen, maybe, or conversations you had with your friends in school, family, whatever. Like if you just connect with what you already know, you might realize that you already know how to develop this already based on these ideas. Because you already said that wedding, for example, especially if it's about wasting money, you already know that it's a bad thing. You can explain this. Now we can develop this now and say, yeah, here it should go because this was for the negative. No, we must for example, I'm going to show you how I can switch this. Okay. For example, take weddings, like posh weddings. People okay, so what about this example? Notice how I can change my questions. I can say, what about it? What's bad about posh weddings or expensive, luxurious, extravagant weddings? What's wrong with it? And I can use well, if people not rich, they can't afford, then what happens? If they get loan. I mean, before they get loan, they feel, first of all, the pressure to have the perfect wedding. Okay. They feel pressure from society, from other people, right? Pressure to have fancy wedding. And for that, they need money. So where do they get the money? That means more money. And that means loans, debt. Loan, debt. Stress, obviously. Stress. That goes with conflicts because somebody's going to disagree. Somebody's going to struggle with some aspect of it. Wow, look at how this idea is just developing on its own so beautifully. Very interesting. Very natural way. And please notice how I'm developing. I'm just visualizing everything that I'm saying comes from logical development of what happens, what does that mean, what's going to lead to, how bad it is, why bad it is, like that. That's how I'm just developing it. Conflict with family, friends, even the couples, whatever, conflict. And then let's not forget about some health issues for sure. Yes, sooner or later, maybe at the time or after. Mental health, some physical or mental health issues. I'm just going to shorten health issues there might be. Now, all of that was done just to throw a fancy party that some people could not afford. And notice how I'm using even conditionals without thinking. Examiners are going to love it when they see conditional in my essay. They'll be like, wow, okay. But I didn't think that. I didn't plan to use conditional. I was just developing my ideas. This is how language will come naturally to you. Grammar, vocabulary comes naturally when they are used as a tool to communicate the bigger idea. Okay? It's like the idea is the significant thing. And as long as you have the idea, as long as you know how to develop it, just language will just like come in naturally, you know? That's how it actually happens. That's the right way to develop it. That's the right way to think. The same we do actually in speaking. So that's why many people do so much better in their speaking and their writings are lower. Not because they are so bad at writing. They just don't practice what they do in the speaking. In speaking, they're just focusing on ideas, explanation, and just go and they just do. They do so much better. They enjoy it. They don't have time to think to overcomplicate. In the writing, like there's a lot of time, right? Like there's 10 minutes, there's 15 minutes. Nobody's controlling you. Nobody's telling you what to do. So you have 1 hour to do whatever. And then you end up sometimes, overthinking, erasing, whatever. So you got it. So loan, debt, stress, conflicts, health issues, and everything. Now, let's think it. So, like, I can ask myself questions. If you notice, like, I already asked lots of questions here, Okay, fine. Even if I started with example, I had like what? I gave right away example. And then through that example, I'm talking about why that idea is bad. Here's why, such stuff happens. I even answered the question, what about it? So I answered all of these questions. Like I can ask myself, like, so more money, more stress, more problem, more health issues. So that's how I can like, that's why. Or, I forgot to kind of mention one more thing. Another thing you can add to take your thinking to a whole new level, to argue better, because let's face it, all writings are argumentative essays. Argumentation is not a bad thing. You're not just like arguing with somebody. They say yes, you say no, yes, no. That's not an argumentation. Argumentation is when you simply come up with more ideas to explain yourself better. You don't just say one thing once and that's it. It's like, do your homework. That's it. I didn't give you any reason. So it's more reasoning, like why you should do your homework. What happens if you don't do your homework? See, I'm trying to sell you an idea. I'm trying to convince you that this idea is right. For that, I need to come up with more ideas or arguments. I'm not coming up with new idea. Notice, please, because I have only one idea. Some ideas are bad, okay? Because we waste like that. But I'm just like developing it by with reasoning. Okay, before I forget, let me write it down. Otherwise, so what I had in mind. So, comparison and contrast could be really good. The same with, okay, let's just say compare, contrast. Because if you're telling me, like, if we are arguing that some traditions like weddings are a waste of money, then what's the alternative? Is there a way to have a wedding where you don't splurge? Yes. That's where we link with the modern times, where we have some people now who don't follow these trends. They follow their feelings, their conditions, whether they're rich or doesn't matter, low level income. They just do what they think is right, not what society should decide for them or anything. So compare, contrast. And this is another great way anything to compare, contrast to convince me even further? Oh, yes. Some modern families, anywhere in the world, like I'm not talking about specific location. Families now have weddings depending on their capability, conditions. What do I say? On their conditions. You notice how I was looking for a word, but I couldn't think of it honestly right now. I'm just going to go and whatever I have. Their conditions, like money. They may not invite 100 people. They might invite like 20 people, like, for example, invite only close people, like maybe 4 people, 10 people, maybe 20, 4 to 20 people. They don't have to even organize it. Okay. Have it in a backyard, it's very glamorous too. I mean, it's like luxurious, really. It's beautiful. It's very romantic. It's really nice. Backyard. You know what's backyard? In your own home. Just invite your close people and that's it. You don't need to rent a restaurant. No need to rent restaurants, artists of some sort, like fancy celebrities who charge you with like a bunch of stuff. Let's say celebrity. Like no need to buy so much food that you don't eat or you don't finish, etc., etc. Do you see how I'm gonna? Yeah. Now I can give you a very specific example. I feel like, give me an example of that situation. Okay, so I'll tell you an example of. Now, when we're talking about example, we can make stuff up. We can just talk about like my friend or my cousin or whatever, some celebrity in a foreign country did that, and it was so beautiful. It became really popular. It kind of opened the eyes of so many people. They realized they could actually just throw a party and then really enjoy it just for themselves without making a big deal out of it. So I'm just gonna keep it simple, like my neighbor. Okay, my neighbor. Small party, small and sweet, not expensive, nothing. They did that, let's say, I don't know, 5 years ago. They are happy. They spend their money on useful things and not like lavish things. We didn't even realize that it was a party until we met them later in the neighborhood. And I was like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, well, we're, like, did you know that we got married? Like, oh, wow, that's cool. Congratulations. Thank you so much. That was it, It was nice. This is how they didn't waste. I'm finalizing argument. This is how they didn't waste money, but spent it wisely on essential things for themselves. Wisely on necessary things. What kind of necessary things? For example, they instead renovated their home after the wedding, maybe. I don't know. Why not? Like, look, I'm also showing language. I'm just developing the idea. They renovated their house, or had a nice vacation, blah, 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 or bought a car together. Bought a car instead of spending it all on one wedding, one party. You see how I'm developing? Now, I am showing you guys, and I'm writing this to you. It might seem like, whoa, isn't it too much? I hope you guys are not freaked out about it, but I hope you realize that this is just me thinking out loud, and I'm trying to write it down for you so you kind of follow me along, right?